Hi, everyone. Welcome back to episode 3 of the Newbes podcast. I'm Samrah.
And I'm Matthew Blair.
And we're already in February, believe it or not.
Yeah, I can't even believe it.
Crazy how fast time is flying. Speaking of February.
Yeah, New Beginnings and the Newbies podcast itself would just like to highlight and acknowledge February as Black History Month. And we'd just like to take the time to acknowledge the history, the achievements, and just the contributions of Black individuals in our community.
Matt and I both, in New Beginnings as an organization, does stand in solidarity with all of the people who work day in and day out to make the future of the Black youth in our community just so impactful and better day by day.
Yeah.
And that's something that we stand by.
And on top of that, we hit off episode 3 on a high note. We have a very special individual who we hold dear to our hearts. We absolutely love her here.
Yes, we do.
And she has quite the story. She was born in Ethiopia, then lived in Kenya, and now she's a valued member of our staff. So we have a good one for you here, and we're excited to introduce our guest,
Miss
Sabontu
Adem.
Woo!
Whoa!
Sabby, thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me, guys.
We're so excited.
Yes. Well, hello, guys. My name is Sabi. I'm a youth outreach worker here. There's 5 of us, and we all specialize in different positions. My position is events and activities. So I work with like ages 12 to 21, youth ages 12 to 21. So we help like things with resume, basic need like food bags or giving them bus tickets, driving them around to drop off their resumes, such things.
That's awesome, Sabi. Thank you for sharing. I know you mentioned that you worked with youth on a grand scale between certain ages. I'd imagine like putting together events like that, you probably did have to reach out to different community partners and just to get a little diverse help while you're putting that together. What are some community resources in Windsor that you've been utilizing to help your own clients?
Well, honestly, I love that, New Beginnings is very flexible with us reaching to all those organizations.
Definitely.
So there is multiple that I reached out to. Well, one of the ones that I really liked is West. They came through for, I remember, Christmas
Yeah, the
dinner,
holiday dinner.
Holiday
Yeah.
dinner.
Oh, yeah,
Oops.
they were here.
But yeah, they were here. It was great to see them here. And then I also reached out to STAG, Sandwich Teen Action Group.
Okay.
And that is like one I'm working with recently too. We're still collaborating. The whole point here is like for us to help youth. So
Of course.
any organization that is helping our youth from whatever ages, like because we may have limits, they may not. So like it's good to collaborate and just make sure all this youth that are out here are getting the help they need.
Yeah,
right?
to the highest level that they can with
Of
all the
course,
hands of the
because we
pot.
all provide
awesome.
different things in different organizations. And
Yeah.
as long as they're utilizing those support, that's
Yeah.
all that matters to
That's
me.
awesome.
One common goal, just to help youth, no matter what.
Exactly.
So, Sabby, I know that we've kind of talked about this in the office, but I know you have quite the story of kind of your beginning here in Canada. So, do you want to kind of talk about that?
Well, it's quite long.
We got
But,
time, Sabi.
Yeah.
We got
Yeah,
time.
but I arrived to Canada when I was like 11 years old, and it was a quite big change for me. Different culture, different weather.
The weather thing was probably,
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
All the new ice and snow you see
Yeah,
here.
you
You're like, what
might
is
you
this?
might think it's the cold. No, the cold did not bother me. When I actually first came here, I came in July 14th. I still remember the day.
Wow, okay.
It was not a great experience. It was very, very warm. I know we came from a very warm place. I'm from Kenya. Obviously, it's very hot over there, but it's different. We don't have humidity.
The
like,
humidity.
you know?
Yeah.
Here it's like I couldn't breathe and I was wondering what's
The
going
air
on.
quality is thick.
Yeah, because I got out of the plane, I'm like, what is this? I could smell the heat.
Yeah, that must
That's
have
new
been-
for me.
Yeah, definitely so.
Yeah. So for me, it was a quite big change. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that sounds like it.
Were there any resources that you kind of used when you first kind of started reaching out and looking for different resources? And
Well, honestly, I was very young at that time, so I didn't have to really look for any resources. My parents did everything. I was just chilling and trying to like, get used to this new lifestyle. And I'm like, what is this? But as I was growing older, obviously, I had to like, when I was ones that were learning English faster than my parents, obviously.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I had to help them with documents and started learning about, different resources available to us. And
That's a huge
one of
responsibility,
yeah,
too.
That is, yeah.
at that age, like documents.
Yeah.
But
Like 7 signing off on legal papers. That's a lot. Yeah, that is a lot.
But the most important resources that I remember is like housing support,
Right.
because they put us in hotels. I'm sure it's still happening to this day.
Yeah.
They put us in hotels for a few months, or I don't know how long it will take, but depending on how long it takes them to find us a house. So that's one of the resources that we use. And Ontario Works, like, they help you get money in for your rent,
Yep.
your food. So those basic needs. Yeah. Those are the few that I remember.
Are there any kind of resources that you know of now that you started working in like the social service sector that you think would have benefited you early on?
I would say the mental health, the resources that the governments offer now. I would say this because I know it was available then too, but it was never like brought up.
It wasn't spoken
Like
about
it's
probably as
not,
much.
it's not a lot.
It's hard to just find one, right, off the top of your head. Like,
Yeah,
you really
because
do have to
first
search.
of all, we're trying to get used to this lifestyle,
Yeah.
and then there's just different things going on.
So
That's the
much going
last
on.
in our head. But
Yeah.
honestly, now that I look at it and the position I was in, and then the new refugees right now, I know like it's a lot of stress coming here. That we
Definitely.
we went through a lot, and there's
Yeah.
people still going through a lot, and they come from all that with so much trauma. I feel that the first thing they should actually be introducing should be a resource for mental health.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that I didn't know we had
Yeah.
help with, but now I do know, and I always like encourage the newcomers that I work with
Yeah.
to like don't feel shame about it,
Yeah.
because it's very like culturally it's a taboo for most of us. So it's something I always encourage them, go to it, attend it.
Actually leads me into my next question, because
Yeah.
what I was really curious about knowing, Matt and I both, was when you are working with clients who are in kind of a similar situation as you, and you can relate to them on kind of a deeper level. How, like, what's a piece of advice that you find is always so helpful to tell them?
It's hard, but I always say patience, having patience. Time will always
Time heals all.
work.
Time
Like,
heals
it will always
all things, yeah.
open the path for you, because when you first came here, it feels like it's suffocating. New language, new environment, new culture,
I can't
It's
imagine.
just
That sounds like a lot.
new weather. It's just
Yeah.
a lot going on, and then you're just stressed, just
Yeah.
this, and you can't really depend on your parents because they're trying to figure out. They're
also in
starting,
the same boat,
restarting,
yeah.
right?
All doing
so
the same thing.
yeah, basically, I would say just be patient. Believe in yourself. Have faith. Get again. Mental health is really important. Get that help you need. Go
Yeah.
to therapy.
Yeah.
So, and don't feel shame again, because
Yeah.
like it's something
Yeah.
that a lot of us, I know some of you guys here could relate to it.
Yeah.
That our culture, mental health is a big no-no in our
Ooh,
household.
yeah. Yeah.
Yep. So that's one of the advices I'll be giving them.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And also, please don't be afraid to chase your dreams, and don't
that's
ever look
huge.
down on yourself just because you don't speak the language or you have a little bit of an accent, because I still do, and I'm proud of it. So
You should be.
and I actually want to speak about this right now, because a lot of youth, even till today, tell me about it. They're like, oh my, they say I can't do it, it's gonna be hard for me. No, just because they're still learning, we're still young, because that's what they told me too.
Yeah.
I wanted to apply for university, and he told me no, I don't think it's a good idea.
Wow.
You shouldn't. You're still in apply, like applied as
Yep.
Yeah.
so it's gonna be so difficult, and it's just, it kind of like makes you less ambitious, like, because you're like, okay, maybe I'm not
fit
Then
for
you
that.
start to
gonna
believe
be
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
I started believing it. But that's why I feel like now it shouldn't be looked down upon. Like, even if we're having difficulties learning the language, we're still gonna get there eventually.
Yeah.
Even if it takes us one more year, it doesn't matter, as long as we're working towards it. I hope the youth in this generation gets encouraged, because it's not your language, it's not your accent that gets you there. As long as you're a hard worker, you will get there.
I think a lot of youth who are in similar situations, because it's also kind of like a unique situation to be in, as much as, you know, that status is growing and there's recognition for those kinds of youth in the community, like just to have somebody like you on the team who they can truly relate to, and they know that you get it, and they know that they're not just talking to a person, they're talking to a person who understands. And I think that just speaks volumes.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It does.
Sabby, you touched on a lot of, you know, coming here and your parents and having to do things for them because, you know, you were kind of the more active role in the Western community outside of your house.
Yeah.
How did you balance your life at home being so culturally significant versus living outside in the Western community and getting used to those cultural norms?
Okay. Well, it's quite difficult, honestly, because, you know, when you go home, this is what it is. And then when you go outside, it's different.
Like two different worlds.
Yeah, two different worlds. But one of the most important ones that I had to like get used to is how people were super open about their mental health issues, like whatever, depression, stress, all of that. But I couldn't really take it home. And I know a lot of my friends that I spoke with couldn't do it either. Because again, like our cultures are completely different from the Western here, right?
Yeah.
So one of the key things that was important to me is like having to teach my own parents, like, oh, by the way, this is okay. It's okay to feel this way. Like, it's okay for us to feel a little stressed. It's okay for us to be a little depressed. It has nothing to do with you. You know, you don't have to. Because when I bring it home and I tell my mom, I think it might be a little, she might say things like, oh, you know, just you shouldn't be sad. You should be happy.
Yeah.
You know, you have all this to yourself. It's fine now. Like, we're fine now, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, no, stress happens. Depression happens. And that's fine.
And it's
That's okay to express yourself.
Yeah.
And taking it to like school, for example, speaking with my friends felt a lot more easier, you know, because like they will relate. And I still have friends that are extremely depressed, but like their parents will never know because like it's a shame to bring it home. It's a taboo to talk about it. And so they will have to go to therapy in secret, for example. And it's like insane to see because it's very sad. And honestly, my parents are now very good. Like, you know, I taught them to like adapt to the Western society as much as I could. But with my friends, when I look at them, I'm like, maybe you should just continue talking to your parents, even if they get mad. Like, you should let them know it's okay to be able to go to therapy, for example, you know, because a lot of our cultures are not Western, but
not as open to hearing about mental health.
Yeah, they're not at all. So they're more worried about what will people say, what will people think about us. That's what I hear from my friends. Like, my parents will say, oh my God, what would they say? What would people say if you go to therapy? They're going to think our household, there's something wrong with it, you know?
There's something wrong.
And I always tell them, like, you got to let them know that nobody really cares about anybody at the moment. People are chasing their own dreams. They got to go to work.
Yeah.
They might, even if people talk about you, it might take like a week to get over you. Then next thing you know, they don't care. They have to deal with their own problems, their own struggles. So, you know, deal with yourself first. Love yourself first. Put yourself first, and go to that therapy if you have to go to that therapy. But yeah, that's like one of the ways I had to balance. I had to just teach my parents.
Wow. Yeah. And that's probably something that a lot of our youth can relate to, right? Is taking that aspect of being open and the whole it's okay not to be okay idea home. And that can be hard on foreign parents.
It is hard on foreign parents, and it's also hard for siblings too. Like, I have a big family, so there's like 6 of us. Well, including me, 7.
Oh wow.
So there's 7 of us.
Yeah.
And now, like, you know, we feel free to talk to each other about anything we want. Like, it's
So
more
awesome.
normal for us now because maybe not before, but now it's like the more we, you know,
It's
as
more
a family,
openly
like,
talked
it's
about.
we're open to talk about it because
Are
we
you the
normalize
oldest
it.
sibling?
No, I'm not. I'm the youngest daughter.
You're the youngest daughter.
But I'm not the youngest child. I have 2 younger brothers and then 2 older brothers, 2 older sisters.
Wow, so you do come from a really big family.
Yes, we
and do you find you're more comfortable in talking about your mental health now, and that it brought you guys closer? Like, that's something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Like, especially with my older sisters, we're very close. We're more like friends than sisters. So we just be talking all the time, chopping it up.
That's
Yeah.
That's awesome. Good.
And
The
also-
power of therapy and mental health
Exactly. And self-love.
and self-love.
Love yourself. I promise you, if you don't put you first, you will never be able to like actually love somebody to the fullest, because you will always have that empty spot within you. Like fix yourself first before you try to fix others. Okay.
It's like RuPaul.
Yes.
You know RuPaul? You can't love yourself. How in the hell are you going to love anybody else?
Exactly.
Period.
It'll be fake love. If you don't love yourself.
Yeah, it's true though. Like, you won't be able to give
Yeah.
enough of yourself.
Because honestly, you have to put on an image that is not you in
Yeah.
order to give it, and that's just gonna drain you. That's all.
Yeah, we don't need that.
Definitely.
Real ones only.
So, Sabby, I know that you are an avid watcher of the Newbes podcast. However, I want to know if you're familiar with our segment, Deja Brew.
A bit.
Little bit.
Yeah.
Well, we are going to bring that back by popular demand. So we are going to kind of, for any new listeners, we're going to re-ask the question and then you can answer it. So if you could share a cup of coffee with one person, dead or alive, who would it be?
This was a difficult one for me to think about. I'm not gonna lie, but after a long thought, I say my grandpa, my dad's father. I have heard a lot of stories, crazy stories, good stories, all of that, and I just find I'm like, man, I wish I had a moment with my grandparents. Just to be clear, both most of my grandparents are not alive. Only my mom's mom is alive at the moment, and I got to meet her last year actually.
Awesome. That's so cool.
That
I'm
is
so
cool.
thankful for that, because I never really got a chance to be with my parents, because when I was in Ethiopia, I was born in Ethiopia, but I left when I was 3 years old. 2, 3, I don't even know. But I was too young. And then I spent most of my life in Kenya, and then now I'm here. So I never got a chance to meet any of my grandparents.
Wow.
So yeah, I would like to say my grandpa.
Yeah,
that's
cheers
awesome.
to Grandpa.
He sounds cool. Well, he sounded cool.
I'm
We're
sure
gonna-
he was
we're
very,
gonna-
very cool.
We're going to do a cheers to Grandpa.
Cheers to Grandpa. I thought you guys were all going to leave me hanging there for a second. That was really sad.
It's about time that you get
Oh, I
left hanging,
forgot to drink it.
that's kind of the point.
Oops.
I like your mug.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Is that new?
I would say it is.
Sabby, recently you and I collaborated on a project where we went out to the refugee hotels in Windsor and we sat down and kind of talked to a bunch of people. And I was there for employment, Sabby was there for outreach, but we had a very interesting conversation. And you had shared with me that unfortunately when you first landed in Canada, you had kind of a shift of emotion than what you thought you would feel when you got here. Having such big feelings and being in such a big transitional state of your life, how did you navigate those feelings of uncertainty with yourself being in the community?
I guess time is what changed for me. I had to just let myself get used to it and actually sit down and be like, okay, this is life now, and this is what I have to get used to, and just
and
taking
where
it
can I
the
go
way
from here?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I have to actually be one with myself.
Do you
I
find
guess.
that built things in you character-wise that you'll take with you forever? Like it was an important time of your life?
Yeah, I feel like it made me stronger. I'm not gonna lie, because it was hard. It's hard to transition. Just imagine yourself if you're used to one setting, one way of life,
Yeah.
and then you're in this new world.
Yeah.
New everything, new language, new people, new food,
Everything.
new culture.
Literally
But
everything that you knew back home is different
Yeah.
here. Yeah.
And also one of the hardest things, I had a lot of friends back home, and then I just gone, right? No contacts, nothing. Just
Yeah.
come
Do you
here
stay
and
in
it's
touch
just-
at all?
No, we couldn't really stay in touch because over there I was 11, so I didn't have a phone or anything.
right.
So I just lost contact, and I have to make friends, and just a whole lot of things were just different for me, and it was harder. But I just had to be strong, believe in myself, be a stronger person, and work into adapting
Yeah.
this new setting, I should say.
I think that's what might give you your zhuzh with the youth. And that's what might give you, like, you know, your advocacy, and the strength of your advocacy, especially, is just so, and we see it every day.
Yeah.
Every time I see you work with the client, like, I see you lock in and I see you connect on such a personal level, which is so cool, because you didn't have that, like you mentioned, when you came here. And I'm sure if you did, some things could have been different.
A little different, yes.
So you're almost like a little superhero, Sabby. That's amazing.
It's funny because we always joke around in the office, and then the minute that you'd start dealing with a client, you like flip the switch and you lock in, and it's cool to see.
It is cool to see. It's sick.
Is there anything that really helped you feel like more at home here in Canada when you first arrived?
I would say, honestly, being with my family was one of the biggest things that made me feel at home. Just going home and see my family, I'm like, yeah, I guess I am home.
Yeah.
But and another thing is meeting more people like me from different places, or actually the same place I was from. Like I had friends that I made through like same language, same culture, same background. I'm like, oh my God, and they shared their experience, and we bonded over that. So it kind of made me feel like I'm at home. Okay, not bad. Like, I'm not the only one out there.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
no,
yes.
that's so cool.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that helped you feel a lot more comfortable.
It did. It made me a lot more comfortable. And I adapted a lot more quicker, actually, because of that. So
yeah. I'm glad that you found people that you could relate to. And
Yes.
And I'm also glad that you're in a position now where you can kind of help with that relatability on a professional grand scheme of things. What is kind of like a piece of advice that you could give someone like yourself that's possibly like a refugee or a newcomer to Canada who's now looking to kind of get into the social service field?
I would say, honestly, first of all, believe in yourself, because it's hard for us to believe in ourselves, let's be honest. But and also to be patient and to have empathy, because when you're working with people and helping people, you need to be able to like understand them, work with them, relate to them. Even if you can't relate, like be able to, what is
Empathize.
the word we're looking for?
like kind of put yourself in their shoes.
Yeah,
kind of
like
thing.
basically just put yourself in their position, understand that this is difficult, you know, and that they went through a lot and they're still gonna go through a lot. And so, and love what you're doing. Oh my God, that's one thing I'll
so
emphasize.
That's a huge thing.
Yeah, because
massive.
if you're not loving what you're doing, and if you don't love working with people, you're not gonna help people to the fullest, because sometimes this type of job will make you go out of your way to do things, or like you're gonna have to work harder to like help people. But if you really love it, you will go out of your way. You will like sacrifice a little bit more of your personal time, and that should be okay, because you love helping people, because I was in that position once, so I would know how it feels, and I would want to give back as much as I can, you know what I mean? Yeah, that's mostly what I would say.
You can tell, the youth can tell when you don't love what you do. And they won't relate to you because they know that you're putting on a facade. And if you're having a bad day and you're trying to help a youth, but you're not giving them everything that you have, you're just not giving them like the help they deserve, really.
Yeah.
Yes.
And if there's a will, there's a way.
There is.
We're never going to tell you no at Newbes. I think Stacy mentioned that too on her episode. We're never going to tell you no. And there's always something for everybody. And we'll do our best to try and get that for you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Life is a journey, not a destination. So you got to enjoy the ride.
Yeah, period.
And on that note, thank you, Sabby, for coming on.
Thank you so much, Sabby.
This was one podcast that I thought genuinely could go on for like an hour. We were just so enamored with what you were saying. And I found myself like not even having like a response for some of the stuff because I was just so locked into what you had to say.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that, Sabby.
No worries. Thank you so much for having me, guys.
You're welcome.
I thought I was going to get left hanging again.
No, never.
You got me. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you guys so much for tuning in to that lovely episode with Sabontu. We had such a fun time learning about her and her life circumstances and how far she's truly come as an individual.
Yeah. Sabby's great.
Great.
There's no other way to describe it. She's awesome. And that was just such a captivating podcast, and I'm just so glad that we had her here. And on that note, you can catch us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. And you know what? Maybe something a little different in the future, but we'll get to that later.
Yes, we will. We'll see you guys on the next one.
Don't be new to the Newbes podcast. Catch you later.
Period.